Welcome to the Rockstar Principles Podcast, coming straight to you from Rock and Roll, USA, covering the latest and greatest in educational leadership trends, news, and awesomeness for principals all over the world. Now, here are your hosts, the boss, John Ross, and the Doctor of Proctors, Nick Indeglio.
The rock stars are back.
We're back!
We are back in the den of Ross, or the whatever we're calling the basement of...
The lair. Excuse me, please get it correct.
Yes.
It is the Ross Lair.
Which is
They've officially named it.
It's been a while.
I think I'm going to start a Twitter feed for the Ross Lair.
Not
a
get
bad
many
idea.
Huh? You're not going to get many followers right away. It's going to take a while.
Just randomly take pictures around the Ross Lair, what I'm watching now on my 65-inch flat screen. Not bragging. Hashtag bragging.
Hashtag 65-inch HD 1080p. Hey,
we're off the rails already. Off to a flying start.
We haven't even told you what we're doing yet.
I'm sorry.
John found a great article, and we're going to kick off this segment. It's a wonderful, wonderful segue, I guess, from what we've been looking at in the research for longevity for principals, and now it kind of talks about teachers. So I'm going to let John kind of intro this, give you some of the facts, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty and rock this thing out.
You got it, brother. So if you've been listening to our podcast, you know one of the things that we focus on quite frequently, a topic that continues to come back over and over again. Coincidentally, it's what Nick did his doctoral dissertation on, having to do with the retention and the staying power of the principalship, of people in the principalship. I know I'm doing it a tremendous disservice, but that's a quick explanation of it. This article that I found has to do with a similar thing, but with teachers. And it was in The Atlantic. Actually, their online version was published on October 18th. So we're a couple of weeks behind, but I think we have a good excuse considering what we were doing last week. See the previous episode if you're not sure what that was. But it's an article by Liz Riggs, and it's called "Why Do Teachers Quit? And Why Do They Stay?" And it's a pretty cool article summarizing some of the research done by RIchard Ingersoll out of the University of Pennsylvania, which is local for us. And actually, Nick, you were mentioning that you used some of his research in your dissertation as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so basically his research, he was able to discover and confirm that anywhere between 40 to 50% of teachers leave the classroom within their first 5 years. 40 to 50% leave the classroom within the first 5 years. And that includes 9.5% that leave before the end of their first year. 9.5%. Pretty large number when you think about it. And even more interesting, when you think about 40 to 50%, almost half of teachers leave the classroom, now it says. So not necessarily leaving the profession, although, I'm not sure they're going into administration with less than 5 years of experience, but I suppose there's other areas, maybe counseling or other things within the schools that they could go into. There's a number of different reasons that they go on to talk about here. Mainly the pressure of the position. The job has changed so much. I've said it to my teachers. I've said it a couple of times to my teachers that, it's been a number of years since I was in the classroom. I don't even want to say how many. It's almost embarrassing. And I don't know that I could do the job. I certainly am sure that I could not do the job at the level of a great many of the teachers that I work with in my school, who are just phenomenal educators and dedicated and just do such amazing things. And I say that in all honesty that I know for a fact I wouldn't be able to live up to that standard. So the way that they're able to do that with all of the pressure that they're under, a lot of it created by me, I know. Not intentionally, by the way, but it is what it is, I guess. But that's one of the reasons: the pressure of the job, the high standard, the uphill battle that they're facing, especially in the lower performing schools.
Lack of respect.
To no surprise, the retention rate's even lower in some of the lower performing schools. So it's something that they go on to talk about here. It's just the increasing amount of pressure is just completely different than most other professions, and not something that you'll find. And you combine that with the common things like Nick saying, the lack of respect for the job, the pay, It's grown, certainly better. Starting salaries are more comparable to other college educated folks, even compared to when I became a teacher in 1992. So they've made strides in that area, but it certainly is it worth it? Is the amount of money, could they make money in other areas? So a lot of different factors like that leading to the people leaving the profession at the rate they do.
Especially with the money factor, and we've talked about this a number of times. If you look at Dan Pink's research, money is not a factor in most professions, in most careers, as long as the pay is a fair pay. Doesn't have to be exceptionary. Mm-hmm. That's not a real word. Doesn't have to be exceptional.
I was buying it.
Let's add that to our own dictionary.
Dictionary.
Rockstar
Glossary.
Where that came from. But however, when you consider what goes along with that job, the pay needs to at least be commensurate. And during his keynote speech last week...
Is that a word too, commensurate?
Commensurate is, yeah.
Okay,
that's a real
word.
Right. I'm trying to redeem myself now. It's some big words now. Bifurcated.
Whoa!
During his keynote speech, Todd Whitaker talked about how when he talks about Dr. Todd Whitaker, our close personal friend.
I've heard of that guy.
Close personal friend, Dr. Todd Whitaker.
Let's not.
Sorry.
Go on.
When are we flying out for dinner?
Uh-huh.
I think we're going out for dinner.
Yeah. We're going to try to work that in. We're going to get our schedules together and try and make those arrangements to fly. So you were saying in his keynote last week at the Pennsylvania Association of Elementary and Secondary School Principals Conference.
Yeah, he mentioned that he goes, when he talks about the profession of teachers, he talks about it in the positive, not in the negative. And it's not that, teachers don't get paid enough for all the long hours they work. He compares the profession to doctors and lawyers and very high prestigious type professions as regarded in the United States. So 60-hour weeks are not uncommon for your lawyers in the United States. However, he also feels that, the pay and everything should be commensurate with that, as should the prestige level that goes along with teaching. It's an interesting way to look at it. And at the same time, it plays directly into what we're kind of talking about here. Now, the flip side to that research, the second half of the article talks about the 50 to 60% of teachers that stay. For them, money is not a factor because the extrinsic factors, which is basically money, are overwhelmed by the intrinsic factors. Relationships with the kids and their other faculty that they work with, and how their administration treats them. This also ties into factors like parental involvement and student achievement. This is all completely also supported by the research I did for principals as well. So the same exact intrinsic and extrinsic motivators that apply to administrators also apply for the teachers here. One other interesting fact is that teachers who sought out teaching as their first career were much more likely to stay than teachers who pursued it as a second career. So there's the overview of the article, and now we just kind of want to talk about that a little bit and what our feelings on that is. Want to kick that part off, John?
Yeah, well, the biggest change I've seen, and as I said, I've been in education since '92. I became a principal of my own building in 2001. And even since I've become a principal, one of the biggest changes I've seen is just the amount of emotional drain at the end of a day, or the emotional toll that the job takes on people. Again, when I started and in my younger years, people were passionate, they were dedicated, and it seemed to me, and again, this is just my experience, that people were more apt to be able to leave it at the door. When they left every night, they were able to put it behind them and go home and, have their outside of school lives. I see that blending so much, those lines blurred so much more now than what I used to see, particularly with folks like our special ed folks who have just an enormous amount of paperwork to do in addition to the grading and everything that they have to do. Or again, I know I'm going to leave somebody out. If I start naming names, it's like an Academy Award speech here. But I think also about our English folks who grade large amounts of written work. We have kids writing 3-paragraph essays, 5-paragraph essays regularly throughout the year, and that has to be graded. And that takes a lot of time. We have so many teachers. I know it used to kind of be said, "Oh yeah, teachers going home and have their own homework," and yeah, they did it. It might take them a little while, but it just seems to me like that workload has increased so much, and it's led to more pressure on teachers, has led to them being more emotionally drained. I think that combined with the kids bringing more baggage, the teachers that are really passionate and care about their kids, their students, hurt. They hurt when they see their kids hurt. It hurts them. When they see the kids go through struggles, it affects them. I see so many teachers that get so emotionally connected to their kids. And I love those people for it, because I know that they care about their students as they would their own children. But when the kids let them down, it tears them apart. It really does tear them apart. And I think some people just aren't prepared for that part of it. Some people just aren't ready for that part of the job.
When you go back to, you mentioned the special ed teachers, and both of us in our teaching world had been special education teachers.
Right.
Watching the level of intensity and the amount of responsibility that job has now taken.
Yeah.
And with districts cutting back, what they've cut back on is the level of support provided to those teachers. So in a district of 12,000 students, we have one supervisor of special education at the middle level. Now, each of our buildings have approximately probably at least 200 special education students per building.
Just over 2.
So let's say 400 total at the middle level for one supervisor to deal with. That means, in addition to the assistant principals and principals who are jack of all trades, master of none, so basically that supervisor is responsible for the heavy level knowledge. Our teachers who are servicing these kids, who are under an intense amount of pressure to complete the IEPs, the RRs, to make sure the goals are defensible, to make sure they're progress monitoring, to make sure they're fulfilling sometimes ridiculous SDIs within an IEP, have one person to rely on. And this isn't just in Downingtown. This is an epidemic occurring everywhere. Teachers in that field are burning out left and right. I've got teachers going to get certifications just to get out of special ed.
Right.
And the view is I've got to put my time in before I can get out into one of the other core or on-core areas.
And it's unfortunate, because there are people that are tremendously gifted educators. You know, I got in, when I became a teacher, it was a means to an end. I wanted to be a principal. I've said to people a number of times, I became a teacher because that was the only way I could become a principal. These folks get into special education because they're truly passionate and dedicated about kids with special needs. And to see people like that leaving and walking out, it's really heartbreaking. And I want to jump back, and I'm going to say something that I know a lot of people are going to disagree with, but I'm going to say it anyway. And it leads me back to what I've said a number of times to my folks, and that is the number one thing I can do for my teachers in terms of professional development, I feel, in my opinion, in the situation I'm in right now, is give them time. I work so hard to try to limit the amount of professional development I do. And maybe some people will say I'm doing a disservice to my teachers by doing that, but I feel like we get so much PD already from central office, and it's good. I'm not saying, the vast majority of it is good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
That to start things on my own, I just try to approach things with such scrutiny before, like when we started restorative practices this year. That was after 3 years of looking at restorative practices. You know what I mean? It's not like I just heard of it this summer and we rolled it out right away. We had been talking about restorative practices because I was hesitant. I didn't want to add on to what they were already doing. So I try to make time be my first option for PD. Anytime I have faculty meetings or professional development days, I try to give people time. And I just feel like that's the one thing I have control over that I can do. And I hope my goal is that will help lead to people wanting to stay and appreciate that and work for me and follow my lead.
The problem with that is, and I agree with you, I've been on the receiving end of some negative reviews several times because I've taken PD time and rather than spending more time reviewing data or having data teams meet, we've given them time to do their own thing and gotten our hand slapped for it. I think that's a part of the disconnectedness that happens sometimes at the central level, is that they forget that we've got so many initiatives going that we're adding things to that plate, but are we removing things from the plate? Especially in a year where we have so much flux going on with the implementation of the Common Core push at the national level, the PA standards at the Pennsylvania level. Central office is getting hit with a lot, passing a lot down, and we're still trying to do all the other things.
I don't see our central office as doing anything that they shouldn't be doing. You say that they're disconnected, and it's not their fault they're disconnected. it's just like we're disconnected from the classroom.
Absolutely.
We only remain as connected to the classroom as we avail ourselves of opportunities to get into the room and try to remind ourselves of what it's like. And that's why I feel like giving that time, at least reading this article from my perspective, just reinforces the idea to me that we need to give our people time. We need to give them time to deal with the things that we've given them, and we also need to give them time. I tell people all the time, I have teachers who come to me and say, I got this situation at home. Is it possible? I'm going to say it right now. I'll go on record. I let people cut out early. I let people come in late. I let people cut out during the day and come back later on. I know my bosses might even be listening to this podcast, and I'll say it flat out that I do. I'll cover their classes myself if I have to, because I know that pays dividends. I know I can't expect those people to be there for kids. They can't be there emotionally, intellectually, physically for kids if they aren't there for themselves first. If they don't take care of themselves and their families first, they're not going to be there for kids. So I'm willing to help out with things like that, whereas I think other people might be hesitant.
There's two more points I really want to hit on this topic, and it ties both to teachers and administrators. And I think with this segment, moving forward, I think we should try to get Liz on the show here.
That'd be great.
It'd be great to get an interview with her. But I want to touch on two things, both of which are somewhat controversial.
Liz or RIchard Ingersoll, by the way, the gentleman who did the research. I don't know if did I say his name? I did say it.
Yeah, you did mention him earlier. And in fact, getting them both would be fantastic. One thing I want to mention that came out of the research on the principalship, and it's called the hero complex. It's like a martyr situation. One of the things that are important when you talk about this is a lot of principals still live by the Old West mentality of, I have to be the hero, I have to do everything alone. I have to be the one who's there at 5 a.m. and stays till 10 at night. And while to a large degree that's true and we have those responsibilities, it's important for the principal to take care of themselves as well. Mm-hmm. Because if 7 years is truly the magic number, which a lot of the research is showing, that's where your biggest bang for the buck at student achievement level is going to come in. It's when you've been in place for 7 years. The principal who's trying to be the hero, to be the Lone Ranger, isn't going to last 7 years. Batman in the new trilogy didn't last quite that long, so he got broken down. So if it means, leaning on your assistant principals, if you have them, a couple days last week, my kids had their Halloween parades at preschool. So I went in late. We went and saw the parades. I trust my assistant principals to get that done. I also knew that last week we had 3 different night events that we were going to be at school till, maybe 8 or 9 o'clock that night. So you got to look for that balance. The second piece of this, which I think is important to mention, and maybe it's a challenge to the unions and the associations, is that just as Todd Whitaker was talking about treating the teaching profession like our doctors and our lawyers, I think the associations and the unions have to play that as well. And I say play that, but it's actually much more serious. I mean, we talk and we try to promote and give the PR to how important the teaching profession is, yet sometimes we hide behind the contract and the fact that I can't hold a meeting till after 3:15 or a teacher can't work past 4 p.m. And I think it's those types of things that cause some of the negativity from a PR perspective.
You can't say it any better than that. I mean, I really think, sometimes we're our own worst enemy, and I include us in that, as the principals too, that we make more work for ourselves than we really need to do. And it just seems to me like that it's such a simple answer to work together and to recognize that we don't have an ulterior motive. I think after a few years of being in the position, you've demonstrated that you're there for teachers and you don't have some kind of ulterior motive. If the time comes where my meeting goes, 10 minutes longer than what I'm technically supposed to do, I would hope, that teachers would remember all those other times when my meetings ended 20 minutes earlier than what they were supposed to do, and that people would, appreciate that and hang on for just a couple more minutes if the situation presented itself. So it's an interesting topic, and I think it's something that you delved into, obviously, with your doctoral work, and something that I think would be great if we talked a little bit more about. And as you said, if we can get either RIchard Ingersoll or Liz Riggs or both of them on here in an interview to talk about, I think it'd be a really, really cool opportunity for us. So that's all I have to say about that.
So here's to Liz Riggs. Liz, we're going to come after
We're
you.
going to get the Twitter handle for
Yeah.
Liz Riggs and The Atlantic. I don't know if RIchard Ingersoll is on Twitter or not. I'll look him up while you're hitting those up.
Yeah, so for The Atlantic, check them out on Twitter at The Atlantic. And for Liz Riggs, her handle on Twitter is at Riggser. That's RIGGSER. The article is called Why Do Teachers Quit and Why Do They Stay from The Atlantic. Earlier this month in October is when that one came out. So you can Google that and find that. I'm just trying to stall for a moment while John is looking to see if RIchard Ingersoll has a handle.
I'm not getting anything on Twitter for RIchard Ingersoll.
Richard, we will stalk you down and we will find you right after we have dinner.
I was going to say, our previous work speaks for itself. We were able to get Todd Whitaker on our show when we wanted to. We can get RIchard Ingersoll on here too, if need be. So don't force the hand. RIchard Ingersoll, if you're listening, do yourself a favor and reach out to us. Save yourself the trouble of being stalked by us, because we will stalk you until you get on our show.
To quote Rambo at the end of Rambo 2, I'm coming for you.
But not in the same way.
No, much different way.
Sir, absolutely. We respect your work greatly.
All right. Well,
that'll do for now.
We'll be back.
And now a word from our fake sponsors. But we'd really love if they were our real sponsors. Seriously, we would love it.
B5O Come on, you guys. It's only a little. A hungry giant.
Hungry for a big honey taste.
Big taste. Honeycomb, big taste. Honeycomb, big. Yeah.
It's not small.
No. Honeycomb's got a big honey taste. Big crunch for a big bite. Honeycomb cereal. Part of this big, complete breakfast. Honeycomb's big bite. Yeah!
Todd Whitaker, Todd Whitaker, Todd Whitaker. Welcome back to the Church of Whitaker.
I just don't know what to say anymore.
We're back, and we're going to do our next segment on the Church of Whitaker. That was my somewhat... We keep saying we're not mocking religion, and yet
Yet, repeatedly, over and over again, we do.
We do, yeah. That was Hallelujah to the tune of Todd Whitaker. Yeah, we're going to do number 10 this week from What Great Principles Do Differently. There's 18 of them, and we have now passed the halfway mark, and John's goal was to get Todd on the show by the time we reach number 18. Well, we got him right after number 9. So as we move on to number 10, here it is. Know when to focus on behavior before beliefs.
Oh, are we really going to... I mean, we're just going to gloss over the fact that it was less than a week ago that we were sitting talking to Todd Whitaker.
You've still got
that would be like, going to a reading from the Bible after Jesus appeared. And just skimming over the fact that Jesus had just been... Again, we're going with the insulting religion again. All right, please nix that. Forget I said that.
How about this?
I went too far.
We're still
went too far again.
We're still in the glow, smoking the cigarette.
I am. I'm telling you, man. No, whoa. Let's not go that way either. This is going south fast. I was like... It was awesome. I mean, everything that we could have imagined it would be. I mean, first of all, could he be any cooler? Could I sound any more like Chandler from Friends? I mean, he was just such a great guy, so approachable. It was just like talking to somebody in a bar. Not that I've ever done that, but I mean, just hanging out, talking about education with somebody that just has this wealth of knowledge that I listening back to it, I wanted to count how many times the two of us said the word "wow." Repeatedly, we were saying the word "wow" because he was just coming out with stuff that was amazing to listen to, and to go back and listen to it again brought it all back to me. Just I can't say enough about it.
It's funny. There's a lot that was in that interview that you do have to listen to it once or twice, 2 or 3 times to really pick it
and then
all
rate
up.
it. Give it 5 stars after you do that.
In the iTunes store would be great. But in all seriousness, let's really give Dr. Whitaker his props. Look, here's a guy who makes his living now by teaching, at the college level, writing books, and traveling and doing the speaking circuit. And he took time out of his schedule. His flight arrived early. He could have gone to the restaurant to get a meal. He
Right.
could have, relaxed.
He made a beeline for us. I mean,
came straight-
he walked into
Yeah.
the room looking for us. You could tell.
And-
which was just awesome.
And what you didn't hear is that we spent 15 minutes prior to hitting the record button.
I wish we had that on tape.
'Cause that was-
I wish
that
we
was
had the
gold
first
as well.
15 minutes on
Yeah.
tape. Because that itself could have been a whole episode.
But most impressive, in addition to all the time he took out of his schedule prior to a keynote at the state conference. This is a big deal for Pennsylvania principals.
Sure.
Following the interview, we wrapped it up. He sat and talked with us for another 20 minutes just about
Well,
this,
let's
that,
be
and
honest.
everything.
Let's be honest. A lot of that had to do wrestling conversation. I mean, once he found out about your prior career as a professional wrestler, yes, folks, that is true. I was out. I wasn't even in the room anymore. It was just the two of you rattling off names. I mean, I thought I had a pretty good knowledge of names when it came to wrestling. You guys started rattling off names, and you lost me.
You can always tell a true wrestling fan when they can remember the territory system.
Yeah, right.
Recall the territories and the guys who ran those territories. In particular, we talked a lot about the Funks and Dory Funk Jr. Tell you what, man, YouTube some of that stuff. The Funk Brothers, Dory Funk in particular. Talk about ring technicians and guys who knew what they were doing. But you're right. We did talk a lot of wrestling, and I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, after talking to him like we did and connecting a little bit, he was just so cool. But the point I was gonna make there outside of the wrestling piece was when he finished his keynote, he came right over like the second it ended, and he asked the question sincerely, "Hey, how was it? Was it okay?" And here's a guy who doesn't know us from Adam aside from our Twitter stalking, and genuinely seemed to want to seek feedback and know how he performed for his group. So I don't know, it was so impressive.
As I sit here in my lair, in the Ross lair, looking at my table that we use of autographs, and it reminded, this just came to me just now. I've got a couple of, I'm a big Philadelphia sports fan. And I have two extremes here of two autographs that I got myself, in addition to several other autograph pictures I have here. One of them is of Pete Rose, former baseball player, Reds, Phillies, among others. And the other one's of Bernie Parent, who was a hockey goalie for the Flyers in the 70s and early 80s. There's two examples of autographs that I got as a kid where loved Pete Rose, was an unmitigated disaster when I met him in person. Could not have cared any less about this kid that wanted his autograph. Bernie Parent, I can still remember, taking me by the hand, shaking my hand, looking me in the eye, signing this, asking me my name, asking me, if I played hockey, just really engaging me in conversation. And he, to this day, if you bump into Bernie Parent, if you go to Flyers games and he's there, going around seeing people, treats everybody that way. He's got a book too, which I've been meaning to read. I got to try to remember to find that book, because we could do a whole segment on Bernie Parent, by the way. But my example is, when you meet a hero, sometimes you can be underwhelmed. When you find somebody that you've always wanted to meet and you eventually meet them, sometimes it doesn't live up to the hype. Todd Whitaker lived up to it and blew it out of the water. Just absolutely blew it out of the water. And we couldn't have been more impressed or happier or gleeful or every word you can try to use to describe the interaction with him. And hopefully, in all seriousness, hopefully we can continue, not to stalk. We're not stalking anymore, I guess, after you've actually met the person and you're friendly with the person. But I'm hoping our paths cross again at some point, because it was just great, the opportunity that we had, and I'd love to have that chance again.
Interestingly, for me, I can tell the impact that someone has on me from a professional level when I find myself implementing something that we talked about or discussed.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. One of the things Todd talked about with us, and this, I can't remember if this was before the mic started rolling or if it was actually in the interview, but he talked about how important it is not to give student teachers to mediocre teachers. Mm-hmm. And currently, we just got an email this week asking for the names for teachers who are interested in spring semester student teachers.
Yep.
And so I took the form. It's a PDF. I added a line to it asking if they had a student teacher in the fall, And then I added one layer to the process. So instead of it going directly to Central or to my secretary, I have them all submitting them to me now, so I can decide whether or not I'm going to approve them.
I had already done that. I started doing that last year. It's funny. When I was thinking that when Dr. Whitaker was mentioning that.
And it's not going to be an easy conversation if I have to have it with a teacher, but like he said, and the way that he put it, he modeled a conversation, and he said, look, Mr. Jones, I'm not going to be able to give you a student teacher this semester, because you're sitting behind your desk too much and you're lecturing a little bit too much, and basically kind of laying it out there in a way that still maintains integrity, but it's a layer of honesty there. So I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not already following Todd Whitaker, look him up, follow him, get his stuff, all of his books, every single one of them. Are just outstanding pieces of work for educators. Bernie Perrant is on Twitter, by the way, going back to my hero that I mentioned earlier. I think we've talked about my passion for the Philadelphia Flyers before, who lately haven't really been helping me out in that area. But he is at Bernie Perrant on Twitter, BernieParent, Bernie Perrant.
Spell that last name one more time.
BernieParent. Looks like Bernie Parent. But he's also a motivational speaker, and he's got he did have a book that he published recently, which, like I said, I've been meaning to get. Anyway, Todd Whitaker, awesome. No surprise. I don't know why we're so surprised he was awesome. Weren't we at one point going to talk about number 10? I guess we're it kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Going back, know when to focus on behavior before beliefs. I mean, come on, do we really have to explain that to you?
At Todd Whitaker, at TODD WHITAKER. And guess what? Dory Funk Jr. is also on Twitter, believe it or not. He runs the Funking Conservatory, so it's a wrestling school, and he is at FUANKU. There you have it.
There you have it. Doesn't get any better than that. That ends this episode of the Church of Whitaker. See, now I'm starting to sing too.
You got it.
Rubbing off on me.
My part now.
All right. We'll be right back with the Rockstar Principles podcast.
And now a word from our fake sponsors. But we'd really love if they were our real sponsors. Seriously, we would love it.
Free ride. Oh, okay. The McDonald's Happy Meal guy.
Want to hamburger?
Fries and soft drinks.
Or regular size? How do you like the ride so far?
Ride? What ride?
Ride.
One for the king's casserole, one for the king's show, one for his water,
You get one of 5 different Happy Pails when you buy McDonald's Happy Meal.
and one for the king.
You can collect all 5 Happy Pails at McDonald's.
Here we are at the Rockstar Principles podcast, and, I travel the world, John. Travel the world, much like David Carradine in Kung Fu, looking for spirits that are kindred with us.
Bruce Banner.
Yes, Bill Bixby.
Bing, 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 bing.
Are there others like us? Are there others who share our undying passion for not only education, but pop culture?
Superheroes, you mean?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I have a feeling there are. In fact, I don't think we're at anywhere near this particular person's level of popularity. There is something I'd like to play for you.
Kaya, make sure you show your work.
But why?
No one knows.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is Bat Dad. And if you have not discovered Bat Dad, he's a gentleman from Georgia. I think his first name's Blake. I forget his last name. I think we're a little late to this game. I noticed that the Today Show already picked him up and did a story on him. But this guy did something that I am just completely in total fandom over. He uses the Vine app. If you don't have that app, it's something you can use your mobile device to record little quick clips. And what he's done is he's put on the Batman mask, which, as everyone knows, I'm a huge fan of Batman.
Literally the $2 Batman mask.
Yeah, it's El Cheapo Batman mask, and he puts himself in. He does like a selfie and puts himself in the corner of the video, and just does stuff about being a dad. The one I just played for you, educationally, is pretty funny, but it's also if you're a parent as well. The whole thing about showing your work and why kids have to show their work when they're doing math homework. His videos are like slices of life like that. It's just little things that over the course of the day, he must just keep the mask handy and break it out and do these quick videos of his kids and his wife, who has the patience of Job.
Literally,
that
woman.
The stuff she puts up with, it's just fantastic. But these videos, they crack me up, and I can watch them over and over and over again. What this guy has caught with this, this whole idea, I think is something that a lot of people can identify with, particularly if you're a parent. And it's just hilarious. It's like I said, I'm a huge fan, and it's something I told Nick about a couple of weeks ago, and we've been meaning to do a quick segment on it. If you haven't heard, do yourself a favor. He's on Vine. Again, you can see him on Twitter. You can follow him. He's at BatDadVine, all one word, BatDadVine.
And on YouTube,
on Twitter, and
several
you just
compilation
search,
videos. Yeah,
just search Bat Dad. That might be the easiest thing to do, is to go on YouTube and search Bat Dad, and you'll see compilation videos. And actually, his interview from the Today Show is on there as well.
He does things that either you wish you thought of,
right,
or you did think of, but of course you didn't have a Batman mask handy, and you didn't record it. But some of there's two in particular that are in the supermarket. And I start laughing even before they start playing, because that his wife Jen has him at the supermarket to help her. Meanwhile, he's running around the store with his Batman mask, trying to come up with funny Vine videos.
I got one of them handy actually. Here's one where they're going looking for Halloween candy. So we just passed the Halloween holiday, and his wife has her back to him, and he comes up behind her, and this is how he usually introduces the video when his wife on it. He shouts her name out. And mind you, he's in the middle of a store when he does this.
By Halloween,
Jen,
if you buy Halloween candy right now, you know it'll be gone by Halloween.
And of course, my wife, upon saying that, said, "I love how she just walks away and pays no attention to him."
So she's gotten to the point where she's so used to it. She looks at him because he says her name. But then she just walks away and, goes about whatever she was doing and totally ignores whatever he's saying.
So I can't belabor the point enough. I mean, he's hilarious. And
kudos to you, good sir, Bat Dad, Blake, whatever your name may be. Hours upon hours of hilarious videos. One of those things that, if you go on YouTube and you start watching, you'll be on there nonstop forever, just following this stream. Here's the one of him getting in his son's bed, sleeping in the car bed, daddy. They're so funny. So do yourself a favor and check those out. And that's our pop culture reference for this episode of the Rockstar Principles podcast. Thanks everybody for listening. Maybe we can catch up with the Bat Dad in the future and get him on the Rockstar Principles podcast.
Jen!
Watch the Rockstar Principles. Listen to the Rockstar Principles. I blew it already.
Well, we tried.
We'll see you later, folks.
Thanks for helping RSP top the charts in the Edu podcast world. Keep it real with Twisted Steel and School Appeal.